Sahana bhavatu, Sahana bhunaktu, Sahaviryam karavavahai, Tejasvinavadhitamastu, Ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May the Lord protect us. May He nourish us. May we acquire the capacity to study and understand the scriptures. May our study be brilliant and may we not cavil at each other. Om, peace, peace, all. Dear brothers and sisters, loving Sai Ram to all of you. We welcome everyone to the Sri Sathya Sai Baba Center of Arcadia. Another day of Gita Jnana Yajna. So I hope you read that right. Chapter 18, Sloka 68 and 69. How we are all especially blessed, have the grace to participate in this yajna. Everybody is collecting a lot of bank balance, spiritual bank balance. And so last couple of weeks, we are talking about what Swami is talking about, the Akshara Parabrahma Yoga. Swami, this is the 8th chapter, where he focuses on the Supreme Parabrahman, who is eternal, without any end, is always present and beyond any distraction. So Akshara, Akshara means something destroys the whole world we see, but he is always there even during the complete dissolution. So then we talked about 3 ways we worship God, people in the world in general. One is worship God with name and a form. Like we give the example commonly in a lot of places like temples, we worship Rama, Krishna, Shirdi Sai, Sathya Sai, Hanuman, Ganesha. All these all have names and forms. And there are these Abrahamic religions or Semitic religions where they worship God as no form. They have attributes. They say God is all merciful, compassionate, forgiving, loving, so all that. And third is the highest, where God has no name, no form, no attributes, is Nirakara Nirguna. That is the Advaitic point of view. So these are the 3 ways people relate to God. But Swami, what did Swami say? There is only one God, so omnipresent. There is only one God. He is worshipped in many ways. This way our Rigveda, which is the oldest one, more than few thousand, more than 5,000-6,000, maybe 10,000 years. Because Lord Krishna was 5,000 years ago. It was, Vedas were much before that. So they are called Apaurushim. They are not written by somebody. They are revelations. So they are there thousands of years. So there is are the one which reveal the ultimate truth. And they say the oldest statement, Ekam Sat Vipra Bahudha Vadanti. Truth is one, but sages call it by various names. Like we say water, somebody calls H2O, somebody calls aqua, somebody calls Thani, somebody Nilu, different way, Pani. So, but it's the same water. Similarly, God is one, they call this the oldest, or people are so great that these sages said There's only one truth. You call it by different names. So here, that is the highest Advaita. So last time, 2 weeks, we talked about, Swami explained how people worship these people. Even for us, Swami said last week, we ended there. We should worship God, meditate on these 8 attributes. Anybody want to summarize those 8 attributes? Who should Kavim? Okay, good. One by one. Good. These boys are the youngest and smartest students. Our Prahlada went through. Kavim. What is Kavim means? Poet. They call poet, but it is more than that. We said past, present, and future. So he is Sarvadarshi. He knows our past, knows our present, and knows our future. And Swami, there are many instances where Swami did that. Kavim. Why he is Kavi. Second thing is Purana. It is the most ancient. He has been there always, eternal. So he has no birth, no death. So he's all. That is why we call Purana, Puratana, like Sanatana Saradi. Sanatana, he is the always the eternal child. Abhim Purana. Anushasitaram is the commander in chief. So everything in the universe, all the 5 elements, and the sun, moon, everything in the universe, even the demigods, they are all follow his commands. He is the supreme. So as they say usually, because of him, the sun fears and the moon trembles, and then Vayu. So he is the supreme, who is the source of everything. Pranam Anushashitanam. Anoraniyan. That is, he is the subtler than the subtlest. Anu means atom. So he is even Anoraniyan. Anu is atom. He is subatomic particles like protons, neutrons, energy. So even he is subtler than that. So for doing subtle things, like for example, small particles, you need a special microscope. Sometimes you need an electron microscope. So from the smallest particles, right? So here, it's to see God. So you need also a special microscope, special thing. What do you need? You need a jnanascope. That is, you need to have the wisdom. So it's not microscope, electron microscope. You have jnanascope, so you'll be able to perceive God. That is why in the same place, somebody will be able to see God. Somebody says you are imagining, because that person, God has bestowed. Actually, there's a beautiful story in Shirdi Satcharita. So the Baba was there. There is one lady who comes. Anybody knows in the Adras Bhajan Mandal they call. She goes on clapping. Oh, Baba is like Rama. She looks like she's Rama. And her husband says, you are crazy. We all see him as Baba, you see as Rama. But she is so pure. Her chosen deity is Rama. Baba gave the vision. So depending upon that, Devis gives the vision. So if you have the pure heart, you have the wisdom, he gives. The Anutoraniyan. Next. Huh? Anuraniyan. I think you just Anusasmaredya. That is just remembering. That's not the quality. That's why I said, so these are the qualities you should do that. In between, he said, Anusamaredya. These are the things you try to Smarana. Next, fifth is Sarvasya Dhataram. That is the next thing. So 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth, Sarvasya Dhataram. He is the basis for everything. He is Sarvadhara. Depending upon which, everything is dependent. We give the example of the screen. There is a screen, you can have the pictures. Otherwise, there is no pictures, right? If you want to project the picture movie, the whole world is like a movie. Sarvasya Dhataram. That is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 quality. Okay, next. Next one, 6 is Achintya Rupam. That means he is something beyond comprehension. Chinta means thought process. So he is something beyond the comprehension. That is why the Upanishads say, he says, is beyond the comprehension of the mind and the speech. Avangmanasa gochara, they say. That is the 6th. Then 7th, Aditya Varnam. So he has the effulgence of the great sun, thousands of suns. Me showing that he is brilliant light. God, we worship him as love or as light. This is the one, so he says he is the Aditya Varna. And then Amasah Parastat. So he is beyond darkness. So that's why we chant Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya, Lord, lead me from the darkness to light. So he is the ultimate. That is why we talk about the example of the Purusha Suktam also, where the person, the seeker, spiritual seeker says, Vedahametam Purusham Mahantam Aditya Varnam Tamasah Rupare. So he says, I have seen, Vedahametam, I have seen. And after all meditation, Tapas says, Vedahametam, who is that Purusham, ultimate supreme reality, God? Who is he? Purusham Mahant Aditya Varnam. He is the effulgence of sun and beyond the darkness. Tamevan Vidwan Amruta Ihabhoti says, knowing which you become immortal. It's having seen that man is so happy, he is in bliss, he screams. I have seen that he is so effulgent, he is full of light, beyond darkness. So he says, having seen that, Tameva Vidwan Amruta Ihabhoti. Once you see that, you become immortal. We all want to be immortal, right? All the demons, why did they do tapas? They don't want to have death, where there is all these people. If you read the Puranas, everybody says, what do you want? They don't want it. That Brahma says, not possible. You can't have that. They want some excuse, like even this Hiranyakashipu, not in the night, not in the daytime, not inside, not outside. But God is outsmarts that, so they don't know. Because they says once you are born, you have to die. They all say, Jatasya hi dhruva mrityu, you have to do. Everybody wants to be immortal. Is there anybody who wants to die soon? Nobody wants to die, right? Because our nature is we are eternal. That is why, but body is not eternal. That is why we confuse. That is why naturally we don't want to die, because we are eternal, but we want this which is not eternal not to die. That cannot happen. So, but here you will attain that stage. Yes, Ameva Vidwan Amrutaiha Bhoti. You will become immortal. That is why these devatas, they have that murta, they become. Nanya Pantayanaya. There is no other way. He says, is the only way to attain immortality. So these are the things Baba said, you need to contemplate on this 8. So last week we said, you need to contemplate on this. This is the correct meditation of the form of the Lord. That's where we ended last week. And also we talked about the Drugdrishya Viveka, difference between what we see and who we are. So the example beautifully, darkness, when you close your eyes, you see darkness, but who is seeing the darkness? That seer. So that is why you need to differentiate. That whole spiritual inquiry is that. It looks complicated, that is the whole process, the great Advaitic treatise. Everybody, I would recommend, if people have time, Drigdrishya Viveka, that is called, where you differentiate between the whole thing, whatever we are seeing, says that is all unreal. But we can't believe, we all believe what we are seeing, people, things. So that is why Swami said in Telugu beautifully, I don't know, some of you know Telugu, Eddi kaladanuchuntimo addi ledu. Eddi ledanuchuntimo addi kaladu. Yes, what do you think exists? It doesn't exist. What it doesn't say exists, it exists. Unnadokkate daivambu annatikini, there is only one thing, God. Lenidayanu vishwambu kanaraya. The world doesn't exist, but it looks like we are able to see the world. That really doesn't exist. Jotajama, this whole thing is unreal. But it doesn't look like that our eyes, ears, senses say. But you need to, by self-inquiry, you need to realize that. That is why all the great masters, our scriptures, Vedanta said long time, there is only one truth. Brahma Satyam, only truth is God is truth. Jagan Mithya, the whole world is unreal, real / unreal. You can't say it's unreal because we see and touch. But really it is not like you go to a Universal Studio and you go to, they show the fire and everything. It looks real, right? You can't say it doesn't. But really it is not real. You go to the once it's light stop, things stop, it is not. Similarly, this whole world looks real. But the minute knowledge comes, like for Ramana Maharshi, or great Jnanis Vivekananda, that minute for them this all looks like a illusion. This is all real, unreal, mithya. So that is the experience. That is what we talked about. These are the two major things we discussed: 8 qualities and Drigdrishya Viveka. Now we'll start. The soft copy is chapter 16, page 73. And if you have the hard copy of the book, it is chapter 16, page 149. So that's where that last week. Anything else you want to add, Nirupama? Or if you want to go ahead and start?
Sairam, what I wanted to say is, in addition to us just being blessed to be able to discuss what's also so close to the Jayanti of Lord Krishna, and we get to really delve into what he's teaching us. So it makes it even more special, I think, today.
Good. Yeah, actually, Swami said, and Swami, Lord Krishna, there is no difference between God and his message. And Swami also said the same thing. So don't try to do my Vyakti Prachara, do my Tattva Prachara. Don't talk about me, oh, Swami is so beautiful, his miracles. It's nice to talk. But he says, what do you know? One day things go well, you say, Swami is my God. Another day things don't go well. So he's stone-hearted Swami, you will blame. So, but you are based your life on the teachings of the Lord, then there is no such confusion. So that's why even for Lord Krishna, Swami says there is Gita Amrutam. This is this nectar of Gita. So once you drink that, you will become immortal. It's Amrutam. Good point, yeah.
Okay, Sairam. Arjuna asked Krishna, is such meditation alone enough, or has it to be supplemented? Of course, when this meditation is practiced, care should be taken to see that the mind is concentrated on that thing only. It should not pursue diverse objects. It must attach itself to that one supreme with love and devotion, prema and bhakti. Usually, man's love gets fastened on trifling temporary things, and so gets entangled in setbacks and sorrows. So the love has to be withdrawn from such objects and centered on the Lord. I shall tell you briefly what bhakti consists of. Listen. Bhakti is the complete identification of one's mental activities with those of the ideal on which the attachment is centered. Here, Arjuna intercepted and asked, how was that ever possible, O Lord? It is possible, Arjuna. Control the senses. Let the mind be effaced as much as... I'll start at this paragraph again. Here, Arjuna intercepted and asked, how is that ever possible, O Lord? It is possible, Arjuna. Control the senses. Let the mind be effaced as much as possible, and let the heart be purified. Let the vital airs be uplifted into the highest region of Shirsha. Let the individual be established in Atmic truth, and let the pranava be the only point of attention at the moment of the prana leaving the body. Such a one comes to me and joins with me. His mental activities become the same as mine, said Krishna. Here, readers should fix their attention on what the Lord told Arjuna. The Lord spoke of the control of the senses, not their destruction. Control means under one's behests, obedient to the will. Destruction means denial of activity, full inaction. The Lord also said of all the senses, not of any one or two only. Man must keep all senses under his control and use them only when the purpose for which they have been derived are to be fulfilled. They should not be let loose just because one has them. Give them the functions they are designed for, but do not allow them to master you and ruin you. Let them work strictly on regulated lines. That is the Lord's intention. There's another thing too. You must yourself reason out and discover what exactly will expand your heart and what will breed disquiet. Then hold fast to the former and give up the latter, or else, straying in devious paths like an insane ape, you will have to twist and turn in confusion. What is the cause of all the troubles and discontent to which many are subjected nowadays? It is the improper use they make of the senses. Who are the proper people to enter through each door of your home? You should decide and carefully watch. Those who must enter by one door should not use some other door. If they do, then that house will have only discontent, confusion, disorder. It is wiser to take precautions against such disorder before entrance is effected, rather than deal with the intruders after they come in through the wrong door. You may excuse the trespass for the first time, but certainly you must take enough care to see that it is not repeated. That is the better method, though not the best. Shall I stop here? So this whole section is very powerful, and what really stood out to me is a few things here. The way Lord Krishna explains bhakti being identification of one's mental activities with those of the ideal on which the attachment is centered. So the ideal typically would be love, compassion, service to God. And for some who maybe practice namasmarana and japa as part of their bhakti sadhana, it's focusing on that form that they are naming. But it is that repetition and that focus that almost immerses you in that divine spirit, that divine purpose. And I think the way that Lord Krishna explains controlling the senses, and this whole paragraph here about letting the mind be effaced as much as possible, purifying the heart, and really just uplifting yourself to that highest point, that highest region, is when you get to that place, basically you have identified with and also immersed yourself as part of God. Like that oneness is truly there. I love, a one comes to me and joins with me. His mental activities become the same as mine. And I think we have to remember that throughout this chapter, I think some of the things, and I was going to go into how Lord Krishna defines controlling our senses, and control versus destruction. I think this is where the compassion and love of God really comes through. Though we are human beings with a divine soul, having a human experience, I think that compassion and understanding that still this is a human experience, this is a human journey. So the way humans take in a lot of the input from the environment or from the world or from the universe is really through the senses. And then, we kind of already talked about the different ways we talk about rupam or form or visual, touch, smell, sound, and did I say smell already? Huh? Did I say smell? Okay, maybe smell. But but this is how we take everything in. What came to mind when I was reading this and kind of contemplating about it, the younger kids have this concept of doom scrolling. So they'll go through their social media and they'll kind of scroll, but they get really focused on all of the negative information that's there. And then they click on that, and then they go to something else negative. Then they click on that, they go to something else negative. And then they take it and they repost it or they reshare it. They're basically spreading it. Or maybe they put a comment onto it. But it's it's using your senses to take in too much of something. And here it's more the visual, right? And it could be sound. And then what it does is it's actually shown to be very harmful to people from an emotional standpoint, as well as even a physical standpoint, when they're taking in so much negative information. So for me personally, I really limit any kind of social media input. And I think being able to control what we take in. So if you're going to take in something from the universe, maybe focus it on something positive and not attach to it, but just focus on it. And just one more thing, one of the things with like in Buddhism, and it's a lot about detachment. So here, one of the things we do when we use our senses, we do put a label on things. For example, when we're using our visual, I look at this and I label it as a cushion. And then I think about the feeling, it's soft and it's comfortable. And, you think about the sound of things that are around you, whether it's the music or anything, a light buzzing or a fan or an air conditioner that's on. And you kind of focus on these things, or you start to not focus so much on what you should be. And that's the presence that's here. Which is that divine presence of God. So it's when we the idea is to sort of acknowledge it, but not attach and start adding labels to everything. We'll take like the air conditioner sound. Oh, it's loud, it's humming, it's, I can't hear, it sounds like this. When we just say, oh, air conditioner's on, and then you just kind of stay with maybe the budget or stay with the conversation, that is the whole point of detachment and not putting a label and a connection to everything. And I think to me, when Lord Krishna talks about controlling your senses, you have them, but you don't attach and you don't label everything that you take in from them. You just acknowledge it and then you continue and try to focus more on what your purpose is.
Yeah, good points. Here, first he was telling what is bhakti. We should know what is bhakti. Swami said, not to have a separation from God. Not to have vibhakti is bhakti. But another name for bhakti is vibhakti. Vibhakti means separate. So in the early stages, God is there like Father, the what in heaven. The Christians, they have that Lord's Prayer. You are in heaven, I'm here. Even here we are in temple, we are in Kashi, or in... So you should think God is somewhere else. So he says oneness with God, not to see separation is real bhakti. Not to have vibhakti is bhakti. Another thing is, bhakti is Bhagavantuni pai rakti. That means intense love for God, like gopis. They even forgot the body consciousness. They forgot of. That is why the famous story. Swami says that one gopika went to light the little diya in the house, and she got her finger burnt because she was looking at Lord Krishna's Nanda beautiful form. Then my mother said, "Well, what are you doing?" She put her finger in the flame. She didn't know it was burning, because that means at time she didn't have any body consciousness. You're so absorbed in your idol, whether it's Lord Krishna, Rama, Sai, you forget yourself, you forget your body consciousness. You become one with God. But that is not easy. So that's why we should carefully analyze. For that, you need some things. So he is one by one, he is telling that. Three things commonly Swami says for the youngsters: bend the body. That means not to become a hunchback. So a lot of us, as we get older, we become bent. That is not the bending the body. That means bend to serve people. So when you serve, you bend, right? You serve the food and help wiping the floors or whatever it is, bend the body. Second is mend the senses. The senses, you mend them, they make the right path. And third is end the mind. So this is the formula. So these are the three things he's talking about. Bending the body, we say how to do serve. Here, senses, we all have. There is no, if you completely conquer the senses, that is great. But it is difficult. You need to fight with them. Even the greatest jnani, Lord Krishna says, even jnani nama, even the great man suddenly gets distracted. Even like Vishwamitra, he was the one who gave the Gayatri, but suddenly he fell in temptation to the senses, and it was his downfall. So many people. So this is very tricky thing. That is why it is easier than that. Trying to, I will control my mind, I do the senses. Use it for the right purpose. Keep them busy. So you want to go on seeing Swami's pictures around, or see the videos of God, see some nice Shiva Purana or something. So keep the eyes occupied, seeing the good things. So that is why there is actually the Prahlada, if you read Bhagavatam, he, he teaches his father how to use the senses. He says, Father, the sense eyes are given only to see God, not see sundry things, movies, this. Somebody, one of my friends, is, oh, you see what? I said, what movies? Horror movies. Why do you see? That's the only thing I enjoy. Anything else doesn't. My God, that scares me. I can't even sleep. Horror movies and that, because my mother showed and she loves it. So from childhood, poor guy. That's all, she exposed and she enjoys. He developed the taste for that. So once it is, what can you do? So like that, instead of that, you go on seeing God's movies and pictures. That's why Holy Mother Sharda said, one person said, Mother, I cannot meditate hard. Is put all around your house pictures of Thakur, Sri Ramakrishna. Go on looking one picture of another one. Because so many pictures of Swami. Go on looking. That itself is a meditation. There is nothing else. That means all the time you are seeing. So use the eyes for seeing God. And the ears. So ears try to listen about God's stories, like what are God's teachings. This is what we are doing. Gita, Swami's Sathya speaks, Bhagavatam stories, Lord Swami's stories. So use that for that. And then feet. What should you use? Not to go to some sundry place, the place of gambling or dancing, this, but go place of worship. Like you go to a temple or a mosque, synagogue, or a bhajan center where people, the good vibration, they think about God, they love God. So, and what do the hands, how do you use? Hands should be used to worship of God. You put nice garlands, nice flowers, put incense, or more importantly, serving the people. Use the hands for serving God. And nose, use it for taking the fragrance of the flowers offered to God, or the incense thing offered to God. And speech, talking about God, His glories, His stories. You should always go on talking about it. So all these senses, you keep them so occupied. That's what Swami used to do that for students. Keep them go on busy. Then you won't have time for others, like she was talking about. Social media, that's the bane of the society. That's the greatest danger. I'm happy you have started young here. There's so many young children and even adults, they have 30 to 40% mental. You should know the mental illnesses. Some of them cannot sleep well because screen time, they go on, look at the thing. Even Haima was practice pediatrics, you're talking about 5, 6 years ago. He said a lot of people, children, teenagers have a sleeping disorder. So I never even know. Once I go to bed when till I was 40, just right away you go to sleep. You don't know, question of having. Here they have this nightmare, then they develop the neurological deal, right? Nirupa's specialty, something to do with the children's challenges. So that's because of they call screen time. And Swami, even before this is happened, when the television came, it's not television. It is a television. This is the distantly, it is a poison. It will poison your mind. And even phones, now we have no, this one time he said in public discourse, this is all there. Take your phones, go on, there's a nearby well, throw them all in the well, he said. But sometimes practical thing you need it, but how you use those things. So the same phone, Computer you can use to hear a lot of wonderful Swami's discourses are there. So many Samarpan videos which where the people have talked about Swami experiences, beautiful bhajan stream. All those things you can use the same thing. But as you said, it is a multiple one. One bad thing comes, and these people, even for me, I watch only Swami's thing. Suddenly something pops up. Yeah, how did they know? Why I want something, some Indian movie thing, and yes, it's so distract. Sometimes curious if you hit, then downfall. One after another, something else comes, something else comes. So you need to resist yourself in the beginning. Hey, I don't like here. He was telling a beautiful example. There is a door, right? In our neighborhood, we have coyotes, bears. They have problems. So somebody's homes, even Anupam said in his house he had it, and we had. So if you leave our door open, they were in the backyard. But if you don't, it will come inside. So that is why you don't let everything come in your door, right? Similarly, the mind has a door. Any negative, bad thoughts comes, hey, is it divine thoughts? Is it taking me to God? Is it bad thoughts? Shut off the door. So you should have that very important control of the entry. Actually, we go and verify chapter 16, Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna, Sloka 21. You want to go to hell? There are three special doors. Anybody know those three doors are? Kama, Krodha, Lobha. So you have got excessive selfish desires, there's one gate to get into hell. Another is you are excessively easily short temper, get angry, another door get into the hell. Third is greed, lobham. So yeah, somebody wants to, I want to easily go into hell, yeah, go take these three doors, any of them, desire, anger, and greed. But if you want to get into the thing, it's love for God, contentment, forbearance, forgiveness. So those are the doors to the heavens. So you need to, is in our control which doors you want to shut and which doors you want to enter. So that is another important thing. He says, I try to have a door, and just there is each door. Don't you enter the house? So how Swami gives very practical example. You just have similarly door for your mind. Is it right for me or not? And finally, this is almost time is up because we'll discuss all of you read. This is Swami is actually put in all the Patanjali Ashtanga yogas in this. Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi. He talked about here, Swami, when he takes one pointed concentration, that is dharana. Meditation, that is dhyana. And Swami says breath control, that is pranayama. And pratyahara, you withdraw your activities from the world, that is pratyahara. So you need to do all this so that you can meditate on God. So just please, but before next time, see what are the Ashtanjali Sangha Yoga, what is Yama, Niyama. You practice that, then only we are people going to that is the dhyana is seventh stage. People want to jump into, I want to do meditation. You never did that. So if you didn't control all those things you did, mind goes there, mind goes here. You're wasting your time. So first practice this basic. Like you go to college, I want to do this surgery on the heart. I'm ambitious. Hey, how can you do surgery? You have to go to med school, then you finish surgery, then you go to cardiac surgery, then only they will let you operate. Similarly, to develop that stage which is closest to samadhi, dhyana, you need to be ready to all that.
Something you said made me think of this. So I did get on my phone and I looked up this beautiful quote by Swami Vivekananda that I really enjoy reading sometimes. He says, mind is not a dustbin to keep anger, hatred, and jealousy, but it is a treasure box to keep love, happiness, and sweet memories.
Yes, that's why you know what, because it is in our control, but unfortunately the external influence is so much. That is why we repeatedly, I say, Sri Ramakrishna, Vivekananda, Swami, Shirdi Baba, company, particularly young people, the company makes all the difference. Because for me, I can see from childhood, my parents, everything, I was surrounded by spiritual people. But after I came to this country, Just for a couple of years, I was detoured, I distracted, is that and that. Oh my God! Then, but Swami, I came in my life. But I complained to Swami. Instead of me, I responsible. Why did you make me take the detour, Swami? I asked him. But Swami was so kind. He said beautifully, "Kami gani moksha kami gani." Look, we can't very well translate. It says, unless you see that world, what it is, desires, and just that's all is, you get disgusted, then you have that intense longing for God. So he was kind. He forgave. Yeah, it is okay. That was supposed to play a role like that. But main thing is company, because of the company that happens. So you should always be careful. Swami says, "Tell me your company, I will tell who you are." So always, Swami says, run away from bad company. ABC, avoid bad company. So you need to always be careful with the company. You said, Swami said, give money and buy good company, and give money and let the bad people leave. So just important, you need to have choose good. So who nurture your sadhana, you nurture your divine love. So that is particularly you need to have that. Okay.
Aravind has something to share.
Huh?
Aravind has something to share.
Okay, please.
Sairam, Uncle Sairam, everyone. I just got reminded of one episode, especially when two things were mentioned. One is bhakti means there's no vibhakti from God, and second thing is about how to about keeping away from all these distractions. So Swami was speaking to us in the bhajan hall, and he was telling about desires and how we should control the senses. What we just spoke about, not destruction, but controlling the senses and keeping them in check. So I asked Swami, but
Oh, you're breaking,
it is
Aravind.
very, very difficult to. And oh, okay, one moment. Let me just put on my Wi-Fi also, and I hope that it will get better. Okay, I hope is it clear now?
Yeah, it's
Now
clear now.
Okay, so I asked Swami, when these desires hit, when these things come, the senses, it is very difficult to resist. What should we do? So Swami said, no, no, no. You should have determination. It will come and hit you, but you just stand calm and steady and firm. Don't allow to get overcome. Then it will come and hit you stronger second time. Again stand. Then third time it will hit. Again you stand firm. It will. After that, Swami said, it will no longer bother you at all. It will go away. So as a follow-up question I asked, so Swami, that means suppression. Is this not suppression of desires? Swami said, suppression kadu, separation. Separate yourself. Remember, you are not this mind, you are not the body. Separate yourself and just stand firm 3 times, and then they will never again bother you, whatever may be the urge, whatever may be the thing that is coming. So I got reminded of this episode because one thing we learned is that we should keep away from these, and at the same time separation or vibhakti is from these desires and sensual attractions. And but we should not have vibhakti with God. We should be not separate from God. So not being separate from God will automatically help us to be separate from all of these. This is just a thought I wanted to share. Thank you.
Thank you. So that's good. So this is very important to keep also reinforcing how to keep the satsang. That is very important. By the way, tomorrow is Krishna Janmashtami, Lord Krishna's birth. But he has no birth, no death. But for our satisfaction, for our rejoice, all the devotees all over the world celebrate, particularly devotees of Lord Krishna, and all of us. And Lord Krishna, of all the avatars, he is the Paripurna avatar, is concerned. The avatars are supposed to have some kalas, 3, 4, 6, 8, but he has all the 16. 16 kalas makes it, and he has all the 16. That is why Paripurna avatar. And also that is why some of these devotional schools of thought, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. There is no difference between Parabrahman and Lord Krishna. And very name Krishna means, does anybody know? Karshayate iti Krishna. He is like the tilling the land. Karsha means the farmer who tills the land. Similarly, he tills the land of our heart so that the crop of Ananda comes out of it. That is one. Another is Karshayati Krishna. He one who attracts us like a divine magnet. That is why Gopikas, the more they saw Lord Krishna, the more they want to see, because that is the divine magnet, divine attraction. And the best thing, tribute we can give for Lord Krishna, the day of Krishnastami, is two things, two classics everybody should know. And fortunately, Swami himself wrote commentary for both of them. One is Lord Krishna's message he gave in the battleground to Arjuna, which is relevant to every one of us. It was relevant 5,000 years ago, it is relevant now, it will be relevant forever, 10,000, 20,000, because that is the eternal, unchanging message what he gave. So that is the one, that is why it's called, people who drink that Gita Amrutam, they will become immortal. And second greatest thing is Bhagavatam. So what this is called Anushtanam, that is practical. How do they live that? That's why the stories of all these wonderful devotees, Akrura, there's Gopikas, so many of these Kunti, so many wonderful devotees, how to love God they show in their lives. So if you read Bhagavatam, Swami says, Bhagavatam chadivite Bhagavatam. That means if you read Bhagavatam, your life will be sanctified. So the main thing is always make it a practice, even just one chapter of Lord Krishna's, particularly all the stories in Bhagavatam are good because they talk about all the avatars, starting from Matsya avatar, Kurma avatar, and Narsimha avatar, and all that. But particularly coming to the Krishna avatar, the particular Dashima Skanda is really gives bliss. So there are people, they forget everything. That is the ultimate elixir of for life and for liberation. So everybody, even Shidi Baba used to say, whenever somebody is ready to die, do Bhagavad Saptaham, read the Bhagavatam just 1 or 2 times. Saptaham means 7 days. They take it like a like austerity, and they practice vow, and they finish it up. So then that is how long did Parikshit take to get liberation? 7 days. So just he knows he's going to die, but fortunately, a lot of us don't know. There's anybody, I don't know when I'm going to die. So we are not I'm going to die, but when we don't know when, where, Swami only knows. But some of these lucky people they know beforehand. So because of his curse, he know he's going to die in 7 days. But instead of like a lot of people going on a vacation or a trip, my God, 7 days. Probably somebody will want to go to some Monterey or somewhere nice, France. He says, no, 7 days, very precious. Let me sit and get focus on God. And then that is the time Shuka comes and teaches him Bhagavata. Just listening to that, he gives. But first he asks Parikshit, oh, I get liberation only 7 days. 7 days is too much. He gives the story of a king called Katwanga. He says, he got it in 45 minutes, liberation. 45 minutes, there is a king, Atwanga, read that story. There is a big story, it will take time. But what the main thing is, 2 great scriptures. One is Bhagavad Gita, second is Bhagavatam. We can't even law, Veda Vyasa, the great sage, he codified Vedas, right? 4 Vedas. He wrote 18 Puranas. And he was the one responsible for Brahma Sutra, where we did Sutra Vahini. Even after all this Mahabharata, the Panchama Veda, he wrote all these things. Veda Vyasa wrote Vedas, Puranas, and the Mahabharata, and all this. But he was still very unhappy. Agitated mind was not at peace. So he was sitting at that shore. Then, because he's a good man, then meanwhile the divine sage Narada comes. Why are you like the depressed? I don't know, I'm not at peace. Yeah, you wrote Vedas, you wrote Puranas. He says, another company, he wrote Mahabharata. When he wrote Mahabharata, he has to think about Shekuni, the bad guy who did the scheming, Duryodhana, who was a bad guy, who was the doing. So he has to write about them. And he has to write about them, he has to think about them. So that polluted your mind. That was the wrong thing. So now you write Bhagavatam, where is beautiful pastimes of the Lord. That is how Narada tells him to write the Srimad Bhagavatam, and he writes. That is why Swami says important Bhagavatam is you get 5 things. Bhagavatamu. Anybody knows here? Good. Bha for bhakti. First you'll get devotion. Ga for jnana. Vairagya, Va for Vairagya. Ta? No, Tattvam. Tattvam, Ta for Tattvam. Tattvam means philosophy. Finally, Mukti, yeah, liberation itself. So it will give everything. You will have devotion, you will have knowledge, you will have the dispassion, you will have know the truth, and finally you will get liberation. That is why scripture Bhagavatam is very, very important. And Swami wrote both Bhagavata Vahini, Gita Vahini. So please read that. If you can't go to the original Bhagavatam, it's very big. So at least you can read this. Sai Ram and happy and holy Krishna Janmashtami.